In the rotting belly of the valley, where fog clings like mildew to the bones of forgotten towns, lies the village of Greeley's Hollow, a place so sun-starved and backward it never appeared on maps past 1847. 3 years ago, Jonah Wexley bought the old Roundtree farmhouse on a dare and a foreclosure auction. 10 acres, 2 barns, and a dry stone well that predated the house by at least a century. A steal, everyone said. But they hadn't seen the carvings. He noticed them in his first week, symbols chiseled into the mossy stones ringing the well, not letters. Shapes, geometries that made no mathematical sense, triangular spirals, squares that bent like snakes. He touched one absent-mindedly, and something moved beneath the well cap. Not water. Something wetter. He didn't sleep that night. The locals said the well had never worked. The Roundtrees carted water from the creek like everyone else. Kids used to dare each other to toss stones down the well, count the seconds until they hit the bottom. None ever heard a splash. Then, in '63, a boy named Lewis went down and never came back up. Jonah laughed it off. He was a city man, rational, smart. He had a shotgun and 3 degrees. But dreams don't care about education. They began in whispers, a voice like boiled leather scraping on slate. No words, just syllables older than breath. Then came the visions, teeth like barnacles, a tongue like a hand, and a mass of pulsing mouths grinding in the dark. He'd wake gagging on the smell of tide pools and iron. By October, he stopped sleeping altogether. One morning, he found wet footprints on the hardwood, trailing from the front door to the well. Long, 3-toed footprints. They ended at the well cap, where he now noticed the chain had been unlatched. He bolted it shut and called a priest. The priest laughed. So Jonah did what any man without faith or help would do. He researched. Greeley's Hollow didn't show up in census records. No birth certificates, no death certificates. But there were stories. A leather-bound grimoire he found in the attic confirmed what he feared. The well wasn't for water. It was for tithes. The villagers had fed it every harvest moon, an animal, sometimes a criminal, sometimes a willing witness. In exchange, the earth grew rich, and their children grew hale and strong. When they stopped paying, things came out instead of staying in. Jonah wasn't sure what scared him more, that the stories were true, or that he believed them. By the end of October, the earth had begun to sour. The trees turned black, frogs hatched without eyes. He found deer gutted and arranged in spirals around the well, hooves facing inward. The house shuddered at night like it was breathing. And then came a letter. Slipped under his door, the parchment was dry and brittle as bark. It read only, "The Hollow remembers. Tithe or be taken." That night, the wind carried a voice he could understand. "You are late." Jonah snapped. He dragged a pig from the neighbor's farm and slit its throat over the well. The blood vanished before it hit the stones, and a voice laughed. You know the rules. It wanted more. It wanted someone who knew. Someone who'd looked. The hunger wasn't for flesh, it was for witness. Jonah knew what he had to do. The next day, he drove into Arkham and picked up a hitchhiker. College kid, maybe 20 years old. Curious and talkative. Perfect. They drank whiskey by the fire while Jonah spun tales about the local legends. The kid didn't laugh. He leaned in. That night, Jonah showed him the well. The kid asked what the carvings meant. Jonah told him to lean closer, read them out loud. He did. The wind stopped, and the night listened. And then, in a sound like earth retching, the stone cap cracked and fell inward. A wet, pale limb uncoiled from the darkness and took him. No scream, just a gasp, as if drowning in air. The well closed, and the stones pulsed. The next morning, the trees were green again. The birds came back. Jonah slept like a baby. Now, every year on October 31st, he drives into town, finds a stranger, and tells them stories. And the hollow never hungers long. Not when Jonah Wexley remembers. Not when he believes.